quite a few things I want to talk about, and I also want to make a little disclaimer here from the beginning because it's a little bit unfair maybe to say that the marketing ROI has zero relevance or zero value. But the reason why I say this is simply because sometimes you hear from people, let's say, some statements that you can almost not believe. So I decided to do this 1 hour webinar, and not to promote INKISH in any way, but more to share my view. I have been working in marketing since many years. I was a marketing manager in the music industry, and that was just when the internet got started. So I have both feet on my feet in both the um, let's say both the print world and also the online world. And I think that with INKISH, we have hopefully given people some thoughts and minds about how marketing can be used in order to do what marketing is supposed to do, and that is to help you sell products and equipment, of course. So I thought I would share some of the buzzwords I really hate. And that is because, remember, we are not selling shoes. We are not selling fast-moving consumer goods. We are selling products and services that often have a high price tag. We also sell products that often have a long decision process before people is actually investing in things. And we're also talking to people where the investments they do are so significant that we cannot have simple marketing terms that maybe convert in a conventional and traditional way, but where it is maybe important to have thorough knowledge about the products they are going to invest in, and also in the relation where the product needs to fit into. So that is why I hate it. And I will share some of the buzzwords just because this is what we hear from people. This is what we see. For example, some people in the marketing people are seriously asking for 45 seconds interviews. And of course, they don't expect that the 45-second interview is giving them like a full understanding of a product or a service. Fortunately, that is not the case. The case, however, is and we're going to talk about that in a second, is that if the value of what they produce of marketing content is not to drive investments, but rather to drive conversions, you have to think about whether the investment is fair and square to do that. And I will give you my views, and I will also try to show you why I believe that I'm right in this in just a moment as well. Then there's a term that some people also talk to us about, and it's called data-driven marketing. And it sounds so nice that you can have data driving your marketing and your decisions. Because I mean, just imagine that you can take your HubSpot and basically enter, I want to sell more equipment, and then basically the solution is giving you all the data for where to market, how to market. All your words can be created in AI, and marketing starts to become something that is, well, not founded so much on knowledge about your market and your products, but more based on data. In fast-moving consumer goods, data-driven marketing is often used because you have a lot of data about consumer behavior. But if you think of it for a second, I think I heard that some of the big print manufacturers, offset print manufacturers, last year in the US sold between 3 and 5 machines of a specific brand and specific size. And what kind of data should be able to, let's say, fetch those 3 customers? Because basically, I don't know the customers, but I take that they could be very different. And I also take that these 3 customers probably have been in long decision process before they even invested in the machines. Maybe they were even a customer with that vendor before they started looking into the machine. So to have data-driven marketing is to some extent an excuse, and maybe it's also something that we need to talk about, because if the data is not, let's say deep enough or big enough or broad enough, I really seriously doubt in a B2B world that is so specific as a printing industry can be used for anything. Then when we talk about marketing ROI, that is something that we're going to talk about a lot today. So that I will just leave for a second. And then we have shorts. I think that all of us use either TikTok or YouTube shorts or Facebook shorts or whatever shorts we see. And I am as intrigued as everybody else just to keep watching these funny small clips and then swipe through. But I must also say that, and my wife says it to me constantly. She doesn't understand why I want to waste my time on these things, because it is really, in our opinion, and my opinion, superficial. And then you can just ask yourself, why should you consider having shorts in your marketing and communication if you want to sell a multi-million-dollar product in the printing industry? Yes, again, you can talk about if it drive conversions, but I looked it actually up, and some of the people that have like serious YouTube channels basically say that they don't convert. They don't. And you may be able to remember a name of a YouTuber that you follow, but can you remember any of the shorts creators that you've seen, unless it is one of your current people that you're following? I doubt it, to be honest, right? And then there's a lot of more, let's say, buzzwords, but there's also things that I think is interesting to see, and that is like marketing people that have never met a customer. How should they be able to market a product that fits into the customer's need? I mean, you cannot disconnect in the B2B world. You cannot disconnect the fact that the people that we are selling to and communicating to, there is a need that we communicate on the same level, the same language as these people do, and that is something that is really strange. Another strange is that thing I find very strange is that in fast-moving consumer goods, it's about clicks and views and conversions and basically drive business to, for example, a shop, online shop, and you can see conversion in it. But how can anybody think that the measures that you do in B2C is the same in B2B? We see it constantly that people say, oh, it should be short, it should be fast, it should be fun, it should be whatever thing of it is. But this is a business. This is not like a waste of time where you just have some amusement. And I know that if you're working in marketing and you have different opinions than me on this one, you might disagree on it. But think of this for a second. If you want to sell something, basically, you can look at it, a car is for families in the B2C market is one of the more expensive investments, and you only do them maybe 3, 4, 5 years, maybe even longer sometimes. Should any measure that you do on this one, should that convert into a sales? And that is when the day is over, that is, of course, what is the most important thing. Then we unfortunately also meet marketing people that do not understand and know the market they're addressing. And they unfortunately also sometimes don't even know the products that the company they work for is selling and what the value of these are, which is like, for me, it's like, again, I hate it, because I mean, how can you sell something and you don't even know what it is? And then I would say in particular, in some regions of the world, we see that marketing people have not just a role in marketing, but they are also accountants or secretaries or let's say office workers that are just like, okay, you can manage the website or you can do the marketing, because it's not seen as a strategic investment for the company. I wonder why they never get really success on the marketing spendings, right? Because I mean, it's like asking office work to do engineering. I mean, because it is a skilled requirement to do proper marketing, in my opinion. And then there's a big difference between America and Europe, because in Europe, I think that most marketing people are working on some kind of, let's say, branding, advertising, websites, design, copywriting, all these kind of things. And in America, I think that a lot of marketing people are way more into understanding that a marketing role is to create leads for the salespeople, and basically make sure that you have enough, let's say, leads to work on in order to get to your, when top management don't understand in particular in Europe, don't understand that the marketing role is to feed the funnels, and therefore is an essential part of the selling of equipment. I simply don't understand how they can be surprised that they sometimes 3 months or 6 months or 12 months down the road uh, are like having less sales because they didn't know, or the production stands still because they don't have any orders. If you have a good funnel, you have a good CRM system, and you use selling cycles as something that is important, you would know months before, because we are not producing products to most of us are not producing products to a warehouse where we just take it from the warehouse and deliver it to the customer. Sometimes it's built on order, right? So therefore, we should know at least the time it takes to build the product in advance, whether we have sold it or not. And then there's a few more things. I have mentioned this sales experience, and I also mentioned this B2B and B2C. So these things are important in our opinion and in my opinion, and I hate these buzzwords because they are almost impossible to bypass in any conversation. Because, for example, my own daughter, she has a long education in marketing, and this is some of the things that they are taught at business schools today. And unfortunately, and I'm not saying that about my own daughter, and I'm not saying about in general, but what I do see is often that we have uh, marketing people that have not been taught or don't have the understanding of the difference between a business market and a consumer market. And that is maybe the most essential things. And now to the next slide. The next slide is maybe one of the reasons why I came up with this headline for this small webinar here. Because when I had a headline saying why your marketing ROI is zero, ROI is of course return on investment. So I thought that, okay, what is a return on investment? And if you look at it, it is the gain. I mean, the additional revenue you have because of an activity minus the cost divided with the cost, and that gives you a percentage. But if you think about marketing, can you measure marketing activities against sales and then have an ROI on this? And my argument in the next few slides is that that is very questionable, because basically, if you look at the next slides, you can always say that the measures in marketing is typically that you have uh, conversions, clicks, and views. And that is often what we buy into. So when we have all the, let's say, social media, and we have all the online advertising, it's always like, okay, the conversions, the clicks, the views are the value in our marketing. And that's also why a lot of marketing people have difficulties with print marketing, because how does a printed advert convert compared to an online advertising? And that is, of course, something that is super difficult to measure, because it's two different ways of measuring it. And sometimes when you see the measures in print marketing, they are as stupid as the online marketing thing. And then before we move on with the selling cycle and the funnel and all these things that are important to this, the next one, don't be scared now, because now we're getting into the voodoo of marketing. And I will get back to where I stopped, but basically, we have to stop fooling ourselves. Clicks and conversions and engagement and all those kind of things can be used as something that gives you an idea about your activities, whether they're good or bad. And you can also, at some point when you have the conversions, you can basically make a judgment of the quality of them, of course, right? But the reason why I have so many doubts about online marketing is because it is as easy as you want it to be to basically cheat everybody. So if you look at TubeKick, for example, I think that all of us, we want to have more YouTube likes, right? But I don't think that it makes so much sense if it is just something we buy, instead of having something that is organic or even relevant to it. I have previously also written an article about views.biz, which I think is one of the bigger ones. And here you can see they have packages for almost all social medias in here. And Just to give you an example what they actually sell, you can see that, okay, for $13.20, you can get 45 comments, 3,000 views, and 450 likes. Or if you really want to be the big spender, you can have, for $44, you can have 150 comments, 10,000 views, 1,500 likes, 100 new subscribers, and 500 shares. And I mean, if that was like, relevant for the audience, I mean, so basically say that they could guarantee that, okay, these new subscribers are all from the printing industry, or the 500 shares are to relevant pages and users on YouTube, maybe you could justify it. But this is just random people. Basically, this is click farms in low labor cost countries like India, Bangladesh, Philippines, where you have these so-called click farms, where you basically have tons of mobile phones that have been programmed to like, click, share, and comment. And then basically, if you go to views.biz, they even have where you can apply for a job there, and they even brag about that you can make up to $5 a day with a limited time of work. So this is an example why we have to basically get a little bit out of this voodoo economy, because basically likes and clicks and conversions is something that, I mean, if that was a real business measure, then you could just say, why not spend, instead of $44, you could just spend $4,000, and then you get 100 times more of what you saw here. And then basically that should be something where your boss will say, wow, that's good work, marketing, Mr. or Mrs. Marketing. So just go and do that, because now we'll be rich, and next time spend $44,000, because then we have 1,000 times the business. But that is not how it works, right? So the quality of what we do in marketing is something where when we talk about being data driven, or we talk about the conversions and the clicks and the likes, it needs to be aligned with the content we create, and it needs to be aligned with the quality of the audiences that we are fetching. So the problem here is that you can't trust everything you see. Of course, when it comes to the media and the industry, I believe that you can trust the numbers they serve. I believe that everything that you see and understand, for the majority, is super fine and super relevant. But I will show you in a second why also, when we look at the media and even ourselves, I will show that too, you can discuss the value of, if you look at it from a data perspective, and therefore you have to maybe put other measures into the equation as well. So, but let's go a little bit back to where we came from, the ROI calculation, because basically the ROI calculation, if you look at it in a marketing perspective, is basically it's also called the content conversion. And basically, the measures that you have in online is basically you need to do something that lead to action. And then I took a few searches on the net, just to say that, okay, this is not just my opinion. This is what people are actually talking about here. And the actions that defines a conversion is, for example, clicking on a call to action about learning more, or filling out a form, or reading a next article in a series, or reading a case study, or on a case study page, or watching a customer testimonial video, downloading a piece of content, subscribing to a newsletter, signing up for a demo, booking a meeting with a sales rep, or writing a question in a chatbot. I mean, all of these are good engagements with customers or potential customers, of course. But that is very, very, very far away from having a revenue that you can book. So basically, when we go back to the ROI calculation, where you look about how much it costs and what the gain is, you cannot take the value. You cannot say that, okay, clicking on the CTA to learn more is basically $1 or $10 or $100. It is impossible, in my view. You are totally legit to disagree if you disagree, of course. But it is from an ROI perspective, simply impossible, because you talk about how much does it cost and how many clicks do you get. In a normal ROI calculation, it's like I invest in a new machine, and over the depreciation and repayment time, it has produced this value, and that is the ROI on a technology investment. And you cannot do that in a marketing investment, because, and no, I will not tell you right now, but I will get back to that in a second. Then I looked about why why marketing people are so eager to define the actions that are needed for justifying the spending and the work. And there was a couple of headlines that were pretty funny, actually. One of the headlines was about that it should be an argument how to go and ask for bigger budgets with your boss. But that is not an argument unless it has a value for your company. I mean, it might be more fun to work with bigger budgets, but you have to put it in perspective, because if you spend 100% of your revenue on marketing and you 10 times or 100 times your revenue, I think it's still worth considering whether that's cheapest and the right way to do that. Then I also found this little quote here, that the measures are taken to not make decisions based on your gut feeling. But, and I will challenge that also, because if you are employed as a marketing person in a company with some experience, and let's say that you do understand the customers, let's say that you do understand the product, let's say that you have experience also from sales and the salespeople, and you understand how you build up funnels and things like that, and you also understand the, let's say, the players in the market, the exhibitors, the media, the whatever you're using as tools in your setup. Why should you not use your gut feeling? Because that's why you employ it. Otherwise, you can just use ChatGPT as marketing manager in the future if everything is not based on anything that is specific to you and what you do. Right? And that is leading also to the quote that the most important reason why you need what does it say here? Conversion rates is the only way to properly evaluate the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns. No, it's not. You can just talk to your company, say that, okay, we did this number of activities, did we sell more? And if you sold more, that is a way better measure than having conversions, because the conversions may lead to a sale, but that's still not the same. And that is so damn important, in my opinion, that we in the B2B world understand that the measures they have to be more substantiated, in my opinion. And I think there is a voodoo economy in this one. So now we get in this case, Mr. Qualified Lead. And qualified lead, according to Gartner, is a prospect who has been generated by the marketing team, evaluated by the sales team, and fit the profile of an ideal customer with the intent to buy. Isn't that just wonderful? So step back one time and say that, okay, now it's not the conversions itself, which means that all the board likes conversions, all the stupid online marketing that is not relevant to the specific people that we want to talk to has to be evaluated as a legit sales objective before it has a value as a lead. How many companies in this industry do you think actually do that? I think close to zero. And because that asks the second question, don't they have a CRM system? Don't you have a CRM system where you manage your customers and understand whether you already spoken to them? This industry is not growing rapidly. So if you are being at a few trade shows, or you are active on LinkedIn, or you have salespeople that actually fill in the data that they from the customers they visit and the prospect they visit, I would say that in every country where you have sales representation, within a very short time, you have covered everybody. Just to give you an example, we have just, and I'm a little bit advertising our INKISH Max. This one is called California Cruising Edition, and it's made about stories in California, and it's printed and delivered in California. But there's only 480 printing companies in California. So how long time would it take you to basically just tell your reps, go and visit all these 480 people. You can buy the data. In America, it's easy to buy data. It's also easy to buy in Europe as long as you don't ask for personal related data. I mean, for example, the GDPR thing. So you can easily build a CRM system. You can easily do these things way more efficient and way cheaper than spending too much money on, let's say, voodoo economy, which in my opinion it is. So the reason for doing this is, of course, that we need to start having a selling cycle, so we can start evaluating the prospect, take contact, make an offer, negotiate, and then we have a win-loss situation, and then we can book the revenue when we have a sign-off of the delivery. And why is this important? Well, the reason why this is important, just imagine now we have a marketing situation where you basically say that, okay, now we spent $500 on a LinkedIn campaign, for example. And that LinkedIn campaign might be a combination of content or some call to actions, or, I mean, all the things that you know, of course, right? But from the moment you have a lead, especially if it's a brand new virgin lead that has never worked with you or your company before, till they have been through the selling cycle, that may take not weeks and not even months, sometimes even years. And the moment you can start, when you can say, okay, this is a win, and you have to deliver, most of the products that we deliver in our industry are built to order. That means that, for example, if you buy a new printing machine, you can have 6 to 9 months before it's actually delivered. And though you have, let's say, payments, advanced payments for securing the deal or some financing deal that takes care of things, you are still in a situation that you can only book it in your accounting when you have the sign-off of the machines being delivered 100%. That means that the marketing activity you did, that could have an effect that basically gives you an effect after 1, maybe even 2 years. How should that be evaluated against anything? Because, I mean, if you look at, you do a lot of things. You go to trade shows, you have maybe print advertising, you have a website, you have maybe webinars, you have virtual presentations, you have ended Hunkler Innovation Days. You have been at tons of events. So how should you afterwards evaluate which event was the one that tricked the customer to actually have the dialogue with your people and get that done? You get my point? So the reason I say these kind of things is basically that we cannot measure the investment as an ROI directly. We might be able to measure some voodoo metrics, but I'm not so sure that they are very relevant in relation to sell. I don't even think they are very relevant to consumables, because when we talk to people in consumables business, it seems that it has much more to do with an agent's or a representative's or a vendor's ability to deliver on time, because basically the more commoditized the product is, the less it needs to be, I mean, I could give you an example even on a brand, because I spoke to a person, I think I was in Estonia, and basically, no, sorry, Latvia. And the printing company said to me, the reason why we have Heidelberg is because the service they have here in Latvia is the best service you can get, and that we need that. And then I asked, so what about Komori and Königbau? Yeah, super nice machines, but they don't have a service organization here, or not a service organization with a good reputation, right? So again, an example that all the marketing you can do, if you don't have, let's say, the right measures of understanding what is important for a prospect in a specific region, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, basically. Right? So what then? And I have this puppy here because I want to talk a little bit about branding. And isn't it cute? I think that most people, and I think that's why social media is filled with dog movies. And I must say, my wife, she hates me for sharing so many dog videos. Maybe there's a little hint that I need a dog. But branding is everything. I took this quote here. Branding is a process of creating a distinct identity for a business in the minds of your target audience and the general population. I often come with this example that I don't know anybody working at Apple. I'm a big Apple fan. I love Apple products. I love their responsibility for what they do, and or at least what I assume they do. So they have over decades built up a brand around themselves, and we always have all of us have these recognitions of brands. Like Nike has is a brand. We have Microsoft as a brand, Google as a brand, Meta as a brand, and all these companies spend a lot of money on. Of course, they also do product marketing. But if you really think about it, most of the thing they do is basically about branding. That is about the perception of them as a company. And in 2 slides, I will show you an Apple example that basically, I think it tells and shows you what I want to show. And the opposite, not opposite, but something that is aligned with the branding thing is, of course, the product marketing. And I took an example here from Agfa that was an advert in a trade media magazine. And as you can see here, it is a list of Agfa products where it is the thing is that there's a name of the product, and then there's a quality at range of speeds. So the KPI here is basically specifically that, okay, pick a machine based on your needs for speed, basically. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I cannot imagine that I would buy a machine having this advertising presented to me. Not even the Pinnacle Award would give me confidence in just calling a rep and say, "Hey, can you please send me one of these printers? I just saw your adverts." So what does this advertising type do? Well, in my opinion, you can argue that it may even hurt Agfa because it is not a branding exercise, but it doesn't even have a call to action that gives it like a reason for calling them. So for me, this is just like it's just like yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe noise is a good way of saying it. And then you can, of course, say that it's kind of information about the products and service they have in the market. Do they sell anything from this one? I doubt it. Maybe your judgment is different from mine, but I doubt it, to be honest. And then the next one, and that is the Apple one I just wanted to tell you about. And the text to the left is something I just added. Why is this, in my opinion, I wouldn't say funny, or it's not even a more interesting advert, but it doesn't say anything about the phone except privacy. And privacy is something that Apple is using as a KPI, because basically when you do sell products, you need to differentiate your products from the competition. Otherwise, you will be in a situation where you can't control pricing, and you will be in a situation where basically you can end up being a commodity, basically, right? And I think it is a brilliant because it uses even the the visual of the ad is talking about privacy, because you cannot see his face, or yeah, you cannot see his face, basically, right? So it says exactly what it is about. It also tells that it's an iPhone and you can see a person, but you cannot see who it is, and that is exactly what they want to communicate. So very, very simple communication that at the same point is very efficient in communicating something that I believe has a, for me at least, have a value, right? So when I am a little bit against data driven, it's not that I don't understand that we should use data to also substantiate our decisions, but I think that we should use our instincts. And I took this nose of the dog, and I'm not a big dog lover, just so you know. But it's when I took this one, I thought it was actually quite interesting, because you are in a situation here where use your instinct. You know what media. If you talk advertising or sponsoring or even films, you know the different players in the market. You know who you like, who you don't like. You know what media you trust, which media you don't trust. You also know that if you pick one media over another media, the value of what you do is probably similar and probably has a not very significant impact on your business right now, because as we just spoke about before, from the initial lead or contact to a finished invoiced and signed off product can take up to 1.5, 2 years. So you know that whatever you do, it has something to do about building a repetition and recognition in the market. And that's why you should trust your instinct, because sometimes I don't understand that we for example, for Drupa this year, we have created what we call the super content group. There is no other media in the industry than the super content group that reaches as many people as we do, because we are 24 websites that all have like our markets and representation, and still we have questions about people saying that, okay, can we have the numbers of how many viewers and audience you have? And yeah, you can call all 24 and ask. The only one you cannot get from is from INKISH, because we don't share data. And the reason why we don't share data is because we don't want to be driven by data. We want to be driven by our instincts of creating content that is relevant. And that is the same you should do as a marketing person. Do that and you will be successful. I'm confident about it. And then let's move into the data, because data is important, of course. And maybe you should take a snapshot, or you should download the presentation afterwards, because this is one of the very few times where we share data from INKISH. And I can tell you that this we have 10 years anniversary end of year this year. So this is a representation of age and gender over 10 years period. And of course, I'm very sad that there are not more women watching our content. I'm also, I mean, I wish there was a few, let's say, younger people also among the things. But if you look at the spread of this, it actually is not too bad, because the majority of the people that are watching INKISH is in the age from 25 to 64. And why am I happy about that? Yeah, I tried to find statistics about the demographics of the printing industry. I couldn't find global data, and this is global data. But I could find something that was, UK, and I saw something from Germany, something from the US, and it's very similar. The only thing that is not similar is that actually the percentage of women working in the printing industry is way higher than the percentage of women watching INKISH. And of course, that is something that I, as the editor, will take into consideration. Can we create content that is more relevant to women, to attract more women to INKISH? And then when I started preparing this a couple of weeks ago, I realized that, okay, when I visit printing companies, the roles of men and women are very different. And I'm not trying to patronize anybody in this, what I'm saying right now. But the interesting thing is that on top management in most companies, it is men that is doing that. In most companies, it's men that are the head of productions. But you see a vast number of women especially in binderies, in sales, in design. They are like in the pre-press, in the design of the pre-press departments. They are the majority of this. And INKISH has never been about the productions and the sales. It's always been a tool for the management, because we wanted to put the technology in context to the business decisions. So if we want to change our content to be more attractive to women, it's not about changing the context, the content. It is about addressing new channels, new types of films to different types of people, because that is work related. So it's not gender related, it's work related, I think. And that is the reason I mentioned this, is just because I think that is maybe the same thing that you will have to think about when you think about your marketing thing. Because I took a few, let me show you this one. This is from a few of my colleagues in the industry, because I thought that, okay, now people are talking about these data-driven metrics, and I thought that, okay, they need to have some data from somewhere. And the media kits, I thought, would be the best place. But look at this. It's not bad data in that sense, but it is as superficial as it gets. and maybe something that is more like confirming your already beliefs in a media, or you believe this media can give you that distribution that you need. So for example, in the first one to the left, you see there's a 80% is working in business management, or 15% in production management, or you have a number of employees in companies that receive this magazine is based on different kind of metrics, and you just like, okay, how would you use that in a data-driven marketing? I can't. I simply too stupid. I can't get it. I don't understand it. On the other one, which is even more superficial, is like that media group. They have like 600,000 readership. Is that printed copies over a year, or per month, or per week, or is it 10 different magazines, or is it one magazine, or is it the number of readers? And then we take into consideration that probably each magazine is read by more than one. They have 560,000 monthly unique users on their websites, 300,000 users. I mean, if you look at these numbers, impressive numbers. And again, it's just like, and then what? It's not the quantity, but the quality that is really the more important thing when we talk about these things. And I couldn't help think about this. And I'm pretty sure that most of you that see this recognize what I'm saying, and hopefully agree to this. Because where I see the printed magazines in the industry end up is on the magazine rack in the reception areas of the companies. So I'm not even sure that the advertising that is intended for the business owner, or for the production management, or because I had hoped maybe it would at least end up in the canteen or something like that. But in a lot of printing companies, it ends up on a display rack in the reception area. So while people waiting for a meeting, they can read a magazine from a trade media. Or, as I also indicate in the email box, because we have so many email newsletters, that you can ask yourself whether these are actually read. I mean, you can measure that, but you cannot measure whether that was read and specifically created an interest. And no, a click on something is not an interest, and it's not a conversion, and it's not even close to coming into the funnel. It is just a click, basically. Right? So now maybe it could be interesting to think that, okay, maybe when we use trade media, and if it's true that most of it ends up in the reception area, maybe the advertising should be more tailored to creating a demand, so it is targeted to the customers that we anticipate are the ones that then will read it. I mean, the end customers, the brand owners, and things like that. I'm just saying that. And basically, the challenge that all of us have when we communicate is, how do we reach the right people? And apparently, there's no data that can basically sufficiently give you the target specifically to the person or the people that you want to talk to. Therefore, you need to have a more broad perspective in your communication. Then you can use email newsletters and then hope that it will be read. You can also have direct mail campaigns that I think has a tiny better chance of getting to the right person in an organization. But all these things is something that you have to consider. So when I say that marketing ROI is zero, is first as a start to say that you cannot measure the ROI on something where the where the parameters are not comparable. It's like what you like most, oranges or apples. I mean, it depends on taste, right? And that's why measuring marketing this way doesn't have any relevance. And that's why I think that the most important thing you can do in marketing is to trust your instincts and make a matrix of communication that you believe will hit the right audience. And that's, if I should do a little advertising for ourselves here at almost an end note before Q&A, I would say that we have always tried to create relevant content for the let's say the people that we target, and we are a big believer in what's called pull marketing instead of push marketing, because everybody who sees marketing, especially online, try to avoid it. That's why there's so many click spam filters. That's why most people try to click on the skip ad on YouTube as fast as possible. And I read yesterday that 80 million people have signed up as a premier user of YouTube. And yes, you get extra content, you get music, but I also think there's a lot of people that do it because they don't want to spend time watching adverts that they don't find relevant for them. And that is the challenge we have, is how do we get through those filters in order to get that? With pull marketing, you basically create content that is relevant at the time you need it, and then make sure that it's available. So your marketing is way more, we have the education to you, we have the case studies, we have all the relevant let's say white papers, all the things that are relevant in order for customer to get the relevant information at the time where they make a decision on going into a purchasing process. With that said, I want to share one thing that my colleague Henrik said to me, and now we have actually bought a license for this, so don't worry. This is the Marketunist, and I think it's so great because here is an example that first there's a mailer about a pair of shoes, then there's an outdoor campaign about the shoes, then there's an online advertising about the shoes, then there's a radio commercial about the shoes, a TV commercial about the shoes, and then he buys it on his mobile phone. And you can see the marketing department is obviously we should move 100% of our marketing spending to mobile. And I think that it encapsulates very greatly what I have tried to say in these past 50 minutes. And I hope that I hope you liked it. I hope you might also have some good questions. And with that said, from my side, I just want to say thank you for your time here. And the chat is open, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I found it funny to do this, so I hope you liked it too. And that is the problem with this platform. I'm much more like platforms where you can actually talk to people that are attending, but that is not possible here. So please write if you have any question. And someone is typing, I can see at least. So let's see. It's Svetlana. She writes, "Thank you, Morten. We just have to keep on working to be there at the time customer is ready to buy." And that is exactly my point. And of course, you can say that, okay, you never really know when a customer is ready to buy. And that's the reason why we have most of us spend a lot of money on many, many different channels, from films to print to exhibitions to open houses to all these kind of things. And yes, that is, of course, the thing. The problem is that most people have limited marketing budgets. And that is my point here when we spoke about the, let's say, the buzzwords that kind of annoyed me, is the fact that when you have too many, let's say, buzzwords that you use as a justifier for your activities, it may end up that you spend much more money than you need to on something that doesn't really give you the value that you need to. So, any more questions? Otherwise, I want to thank you very much for your time here today. Again, I hope you liked it, and uh, I'm not I'm not in a position where I say is the only truth. I'm just of an opinion. So when you combine that with all your own knowledge and all the other people that have opinions about this, I hope you at least formulate your own strategies and your own ideas, and that it fits perfectly into your communication and talk track to your customers and prospects. With that said, thank you guys. Super nice having you here, and Happy New Year. And then maybe we see each other out there. So thank you very much, and